Well, I think we are ready to have this meeting. We could go check out our bedroom first. I suppose we shall. Because that was an option and we sort of skipped it. So let's see what is in our room before we have this meeting.
Something of interest.
Because the governor can keep waiting. Breeze catcher boots. Whenever the wearer moves through a cell occupied by an enemy, the wearer gains 15% dodge against that enemy's attacks until the wearer's next turn. Could potentially give that to Cabela. I don't think there's many of our people that can move through an enemy's cell. But thus all the raids, their home consumes people at a prodigious rate. Yeah. So if they're constantly trying to torture and sacrifice people for power, then they have to constantly be traveling world to world. Because everywhere they go, they're just... yeah, they're taking all the people and then they just have to move on to somewhere else. That makes sense. The leather covers bear the names of the authors, most philosophers and theologians from Dargonus. The spines of the books are trimmed with gold. Cogitators producing rhythmic sounds, among which a faint ringing stands out. The remains of a plaque can be seen on the frame. Alas, the inscription is completely indistinguishable due to the patina. Electrified shardnet. Okay. Some xeno artifact. There's a faint mark on the polished mantelpiece, which was likely left by a glass. This antique piece of furniture is obviously well cared for, but the surface is still covered with a lot of scuffs, scratches, and stains, traces of the previous rogue traders who sat at this table. A sturdy safe equipped with several bizarre mechanisms. 55%. I guess we'll save and then try it. Succeeded. Ooh, we've got a Melta. Requires strength 55. Melta sounds so good, but none of our people have that kind of strength. And that is a very short range. But Meltas do so much damage. 21 to 28. 60% armor penetration. The largest type of Melta weapon usually only employed by the Adeptus Astartes or mounted upon Imperial vehicles. I mean, it's cool, but can't really make use of it. Just looking down on our world. What's through this door? Our bed. The bed of the head of the rogue trader dynasty is befitting the status of its owner. By bringing your hand to the scan panel behind the books, you open a hidden door. Okay, so this is where the fancy treasure is kept. A mysterious item undoubtedly created by inhuman hands. The mysterious xeno artifact rests in a stasis field. Meltas are nice, but here they have to compete with a lot of exotic hardware. Yeah. just don't have anyone trained to use them. And I keep thinking it'd be nice to give someone Melta training, but then I keep getting Meltas that are just way too expensive or way too heavy to use. These gloves grant the wearer plus 10 bonus to tech use. They also increase damage of plasma weaponry by 3. We don't have anyone using plasma either. Plus 10 to tech use, though, might be good for Pascal. And then a Zealot Cloak. When the wearer hits an ally with an area attack, the wearer gains plus 1 stack of the Zealot effect until the end of combat. The wearer deals 10% damage with their area attacks for each stack of the Zealot effect. Huh. So if you were regularly hitting allies with your area attacks, you would just keep increasing the damage of your area attacks. That's weird. Because generally I don't want to be hitting my allies. An empty glass and 3 unopened bottles of wine sit on a finely crafted table made from dark marbled wood. Firestorm? That's fair. That's fair. Because then I could hit my allies that are in melee range with it, making my other Firestorm attacks do even more damage. Be a bit crazy. Dust has accumulated on the rusted raised oil smears. If servants ever access this room, they do so very rarely. We can sit down for whatever reason. This secret room is remarkably quiet and almost homely. Perhaps your predecessor used it when she sought complete solitude. Listening to the muted melody coming from the Vox speaker, you can easily imagine Theodore reading a book with a glass of expensive wine in hand. Choose a book. Several books are stacked next to the sofa. Some appear ancient, while others look like they have never been opened. Among Theodore's data that has been restored using your cogitator is the phrase Litanies of the Motive Force. It is the title of one of the books here. It amuses me that the governor is now available to meet with us, and this is when I'm now going to sit down on a bench, read a book, and drink some wine. Litanies of the Motive Force, Love is the Only Truth, Xenoanatomy, Scholar's Observations, The Invincible Army, Analysis of Tactical Triumphs of the Astra Militarum, Parsimus de Wayne, a biographical sketch. Parsimus de Wayne was the founder of Footfall. But let's read the Litanies of the Motive Force because it's specifically called out here. As you pick up the book, a hidden button in its spine clicks under your finger. Let's have a glass of wine. 3 sealed bottles sit by the sturdy-looking low table. They are labeled Grand Master's Blood, Boon of Terra, and Flame of Purity. You recall a vision of the past that Adir told you about. She said Theodore's favorite wine was Flame of Purity. Then let's pour a glass of Flame of Purity. The wine fills the glass, glittering in the dim light of the room like liquid gold. Its tangy flavor burns your throat, leaving behind a spicy, biting aftertaste. You hear a short, faint hum as an unseen motor stirs into motion. Alright, let's change the music. The vid screen of the data slate before you displays the names of several Vox symphonies. We passed our Lore Imperium test. You recognize the melody that is playing right now is the first of 36 parts of the Symphony of Honor and Duty. Then I guess we will go to Symphony of Honor and Duty Part 2. The music in the speakers momentarily grows louder, filling the entire room, then goes back to normal, seemingly without any change. The room responds to your actions with a quiet grinding sound, and a small nook reveals itself in a nearby wall. Inside, you find a databank bearing the Von Valencius coat of arms. An engraved data drive found in a cache on Dargonus. The information it contains has been carefully encrypted. Okay. Well, cool. Rare books arrayed on these shelves with their lavish, almost pretentious bindings seem to be identical. Strange objects lie behind the glass of the display case. The complete absence of explanatory labels makes it impossible to learn what they are. Mysterious item undoubtedly created by inhuman hands. Grab all the goods. Anything hidden back here? Doesn't look like it. The shelves of the library are laden with dusty tomes. Your eyes linger on the works of several Administratum adepts and their memoirs of some unfamiliar explorer of distant death worlds. Mysterious item undoubtedly created by inhuman hands. So yeah, she stored a bunch of xeno artifacts here. Was that... We had a... Yeah, there was a hidden cache on Dargonus and another one on Kiaba Gamma. So that was the hidden cache on Kiaba... or on Dargonus. We still need to find the hidden cache on Kiaba Gamma. Alright, now I'm ready to meet with the governor. I think I've made him wait long enough. We'll toss down a quick save first, just in case. Your lordship, Governor Drivestem is waiting in the audience hall. I advise you to respond to his lateness in kind. That way, you can let Urban know that his behavior has not gone unremarked, but I would not delay too long. Right now, the court is closely observing your every step. Alright, well, I think we've waited long enough, so tell them I'm ready to see the governor. Clementia bows before leaving. I shall arrange for him to be escorted to your study. Show up with a wine and book while you're at it? Absolutely. Oh, were you waiting to meet with me? Sorry, I was just in the middle of my book. Ignatius von Valancius, 20th in his line, rogue trader, keeper of the secret warrant, or the sacred warrant, and ruler of the Koronus Expanse, from Kronach system to the 100 Dreams Crossroads. I bid you welcome. Urban Drivestem, governor of this great world, first and foremost, please accept my deepest condolences. It will be difficult to recover from the loss of a woman as great as Theodora von Valancius. It pains me to think that she is no longer with us. The citizens of Dargonus and of the entire Protectorate grieve alongside you. Please allow us to declare half a year of mourning, so that we can honor the memory of our beloved lady. The governor glances at Cabela anxiously, then immediately averts his gaze. Then he looks at her again, but when Cabela lets out a grim chuckle, and stretches her lips, daubed in fresh blood, into a petrifying grin, the governor turns away from her, sharply, all but squealing in fear. Why are you so afraid of my death cultist? Do you have something... have you done something wrong? Theodora von Valancius deserves more than that. You'll declare a full year of mourning. There's no need. I'm the new ruler of the Protectorate. Let my subjects rejoice at my arrival instead. It's all the same to me. Do as you see fit. Very opposite ends. Because there's the idea that we do want to honor Theodora. We don't want to just trash her name of, she's gone, move on. But there's also the idea of, the king is dead, long live the king, where you never focus on the, there's a bit of a funeral procession, etc. for the death of the king, but you also want to immediately focus on the fact that the kingship lives on. In this case, there is still a rogue trader. Life moves on. Long live the new heir. Yeah. I don't know. I don't like the idea of just do what you see fit. But I also don't want to upset anyone who did care for Theodora. I often want an in-between option, but these are the limitations of an RPG with branching options. Yeah. The in-between option is what he is offered. But given that he's intentionally trying to go against us, giving him the permission to do as you see fit feels like the wrong angle. We should be pushing back against him as much as we can. I think I'm going to go with there's no need. I'm the new ruler of the Protectorate. Let my subjects rejoice at my arrival instead. Seems to be going in a different direction than him, and it focuses the people on the fact that there is currently a rogue trader who is here to help them solve the problems, rather than focusing on the fact that Theodora is gone. I'm not certain it's the right call, but it's the one I'm going to make. There's no need. I am the new ruler of the Protectorate. Let my subjects rejoice at my arrival instead. The bewilderment causes the wrinkles on Drivestem's glossy face to soften. Your lordship, these are centuries-old traditions, sacred customs, and rules. Do not forget who it is you serve, Urban Drivestem. If it is the rogue trader's wish not to have a mourning ceremony, Abelard's voice grates unpleasantly, then so be it. Sorry, Abelard. I know you cared very deeply for Theodora. Perhaps the parvenu installed by Lady Theodora's cares not for the sacred traditions of our founding ancestors. The governor gives a meaningful nod in Abelard's directions, but Ignatius von Valentius is a descendant of the true children of Dargonus. It behooves the ruler of a world to honor its customs. Come now, Urband. I am as much a parvenu as Abelard. I don't know the word parvenu. I could Google it. Since they keep throwing it around, I feel like I should know what they're trying to state. I do honor traditions, Governor. Later, when things in the Protectorate settle down, we will declare a mourning period. See, I'm fine with that. That feels like a sensible option. Right now, the Protectorate is in a terrible state. Let's get things settled. Let's get people comfortable that the Protectorate is still ongoing. It still has its rogue trader. But once things are in a stable state, then we'll have the mourning period. That sounds very good to me. I shall be the one to judge what behooves me and what does not, or say nothing. I like number 2. I think that's the best. We will declare mourning when the Protectorate has settled down. As you wish, your lordship. Drivestem bows his head. Esteemed Ignatius, Lady Theodora was a strong leader, and we ought to follow her example. Let us lean on wisdom and persevere in spite of this tragedy together, and let us carry on where she no longer can by leading the Von Valentius Protectorate to even greater prosperity. Alas, it won't be an easy task to accomplish. Some time ago, the astropaths of Dargonus flew into a rage, and they had to be subdued. We are gradually restoring our ability to speak with the neighboring worlds, but the contacts are still weak, and the routes are tangled and no longer lead to the systems that the captains expect them to. Given that the vast majority of ships in the Dargonus Navy travel without relying on the services of navigators, without your engagement, the well-being of the Von Valentius dynasty and billions of its subjects is presently at risk. We met a ship from Dargonus not too long ago. The crew was transporting a strange artifact and went mad during the flight. True. Conrad Votvier, former Master of Whispers, is a heretic and a traitor. Has he shown his face on Dargonus? We know he has. What exactly did Dargonus nobility expect from me in light of the loss of routes and communications with other worlds? I would like to complete my inauguration as Rogue Trader as soon as possible. When is the ceremony? Or tell me about yourself. I guess we can go through all of these options, see what he has to say. We met a ship from Dargonus not too long ago. The crew was transporting a strange artifact and went mad during the flight. This is truly regrettable bit of news. What's more, leaving Dargonus has been forbidden for several cycles now. It seems the Wersarian family has once again failed in their primary responsibilities. He shoots Abelard a condescending look. We will investigate this at once, as well as the fact that the ship had to acquire a permit with the Administratum seal. Does your nephew still serve at the Administratum Palace? So yeah, there's big family dynamics and hatred. Hatred's probably a strong word, but conflict. where they're just pointing fingers at each other of the Wersarians are the problem. No, it's your family that's the problem. The governor presses a number of buttons on the cogitator built into his bracer and looks up at you in surprise. I don't understand. The ship did indeed depart from orbit, but it did so, if you can believe it, on the rogue trader's authorization. That is why no one dared to impede its departure. Intrigue? Yeah. Okay, so the rogue trader's authorization was used. We know that the ship was carrying an artifact that came from Kunrad, so probably he sent it off before it was notified that he was a traitor. Because we know he landed here first and then quickly left before word got through that he had killed or was involved in the death of Theodora. Lord Captain, it would seem that Kunrad somehow got his hands on a copy of your authorization, or perhaps even the original. A tool like that in the hands of a traitor does not bode well. Kunrad Vodvir, former Master of Whispers, is a heretic and a traitor. Has he shown his face on Dargonas? The governor pensively strokes the rings glittering on his fingers. Lord Vodvir visited the capital some time ago, but he did not request a personal meeting. A heretic, you say? Now I see where all the whispering in the corridors has come from. I shall be frank with you, your lordship. Lady Theodora's sudden death was a blow to every one of us, and the absence of any sort of verifiable and complete information about her successor gives grounds for all manner of rumors and misinterpretations, especially if someone is deliberately inciting unrest and discontent. Naturally, none would dare challenge you by accusing you of something as sacrilegious as murdering a rogue traitor. However, Kunrad Vodvir was once a true boon to the Protectorate back in the day, and as such, some might heed his words. Dogmatic, I sentence all who dared to make heretical remarks about the rogue traitor to servitude imperatus. Machines aren't prone to dissent or dissidence. So anyone who has spoken against me gets turned into a servitor. My subjects' doubts are understandable. Too many things have changed in too short a span. I will prove myself worthy of my position is the iconoclast option. Heretical, publicly rip out the vocal cords and tongues of every slanderer and replace them with vox implants that sing the praises of rogue traitor Ignatius von Valencius without interruption. I should think that will serve as a reminder of who rules this world. Dude. I couldn't care less about what the people think of me. I'm Theodora's successor, whether they like it or not. Man, the dogmatic option is always so forceful, which, I mean, that is in line with 40k. Yeah, like, I chose that I wanted to play dogmatic for this playthrough, but I keep running into these dogmatic options that are just a bit too far. So I'm primarily dogmatic, but a decent amount of iconoclast, because the dogmatic just regularly crosses the line of what I think is okay. This one I don't think is, depending on how far they take it, if it's just the worst of the people who have been speaking against me, then that's reasonable-ish from a 40k perspective. Obviously, turning people, lobotomizing people and turning them into machines just because they spoke out against us from a 21st century viewpoint is not okay. But from a 40th millennium, or 41st millennium perspective, the worst of the people who are pushing for this heretical remarks against us, that's fine. If it literally is anyone who has said anything that could be interpreted as heretical gets turned into a machine, that's rough. And I do like the idea of I will prove myself worthy of my position. And since I can't guarantee that's not going to go extra too far, I think I am going to go with the iconoclast option. That I can prove myself worthy of my position. Just give them time. They'll get to know me. I'm fine. My actions will prove my own worth. Why, Ignatius, your desire is most commendable, but please do not forget, a ruler should never bow to their attendants, or some might see it as a show of weakness. And what exactly do the Dargonas nobility expect from me in light of the loss of roots and communication with other worlds? We are all troubled by the fate of the agri-world. Janus that supplied Dargonus and other planets with foodstuffs. Empty stomachs can drive even the mildest rabble to revolt. Furthermore, House Gaprak is perturbed by the loss of communications with the industrial world Kappa Gamma, which is in their charge. But if you wish to know my opinion, the world that deserves your attention the most is the penal world Vibos 6, one of the key mining suppliers in your protectorate. We haven't heard anything about Vibos 6. Everyone's talking about Janus, Dargonus, and Kappa Gamma. Such intriguing concern for the Vibos 6 outpost. Doesn't your house happen to own the extraction stations there? Ha! Nice. So he's like, the one you should put all of your effort and focus in is the one that we own. The other major world that everyone else agrees are your top 3 most important planets. Ignore them. Focus on this tiny little mining outpost because we own it. I've already visited the agri-world Janus. Governor Viat found herself facing a number of problems in my absence. That does it for the plans and trade routes. What else? Yeah, such intriguing concern for the Vibos 6 outpost. Doesn't your house happen to own the extraction stations there? Drivestem's beady eyes widen in fear. Your lordship, I beg of you, do not interpret my words as an attempt to influence your decisions in any way. You see, without Vibos 6, the manufactorums on your worlds will need to make haste to find new suppliers elsewhere and arrange for new shipments. And in these troubling times, they run the risk of delays and other most tragic mishaps. My only concern is for the prosperity of the Von Valentius dynasty. Yeah. Sure. I've already visited the agri-world Janus. Governor Viat found herself facing a number of problems in my absence. Truly, the Viat line is one of the oldest in the Von Valentius protectorate. If the inheritor of such well-respected blood could not handle whatever had befallen her, then the situation must have been extraordinary indeed. A cursed xenos took Vistenza's life, but her death was avenged. We could lie. Vistenza succumbed to worshipping the ruinous powers and was executed. Vistenza Viat is no longer in charge of the world. She is dead. I have delivered Janus into more capable hands. Never you mind about that, Governor. Did we try and cover up? I don't remember. I don't think so. But part of me thinks there was an option to cover up what was going on and why she was executed. Because if we did cover it up, then I don't want to just tell the truth right here. But I don't think we tried to cover it up. Either way, I'm just going to tell him, letting the various high-ranking members know that a planetary governor was doing heretical things and was executed for it, might keep him more in line. Particularly since we've heard that he's been working with Xenos. So letting him know, like, I'm willing to execute a governor and move the governorship completely from that family line if they stray too far, might get him back in line. Vistenza succumbed to worshipping the ruinous powers and was executed. Drivestem pales in terror. It is clearly from the unseemly grimace on the aristocrat's countenance that his fear is not feigned. Ruinous powers, truly horrifying news. I commend your resolve and unwavering severity. Death to the enemies of humanity. Yeah, you know Xenos are also enemies of humanity. Just pointing it out there. That does it for the plans and trade routes. What else? Xenos, your lordship, I don't rightly know where to begin. He rubs the bridge of his nose wearily. Otherworldly beasts are not an uncommon sight in the Koronus Expanse. They have been a menace to the worlds this side of the Maw for decades. But now those abominations are on the rampage. They show no sign of fear as they attack ships, either damaging them to the point where they become unfit for transport duty, or outright gutting them. Only you have the power to stop this madness. We are in the process of restoring the astropathic choir of Dargonus. Luckily, we were forced to slay only some of the deranged psykers, although those that remain are as yet unable to transmit messages. I hope Master Scalander will keep his word and offer you support in the war against the Xenos. According to his reports, the region of Vibos 6, again he's pointing it out, the region of Vibos 6 has been of particular concern in the last few cycles, which is all the more reason to discover the colony's fate as soon as possible. Now to issues on a smaller scale. There is a certain degree of tension in the capital due to the unorthodox succession to the Sacred Warrant. Chances of uprisings are minimal, of course, and the spreading of rumors is nothing but a sign of weakness of mind and spirit. Nonetheless, I have prepared a list of minor houses that have demonstrated unseemly discomposure at your succession. What is to be done about them? Command the spinners of the blood-spun web, and they will set a fine snare of retribution, Domin Ignatius. We will whisper names, and that whisper will drown out insolent voices. Eliminate the most prominent malcontents quietly, but do not threaten entire families. Hopefully these steps will be enough to keep the rest from causing any more troubles. I care not what those hyenas are yapping about behind my back. Leave them be. They are no threat to me. Make arrangements for public purges. All who have sullied the rogue trader's name must meet their death on the executioner's block. Send the disgruntled nobles lavish gifts on my behalf, and make sure that my generosity does not go unnoticed by the rest. No. Don't pay off people for speaking against us. That just encourages more to speak against us in the hopes that they'll also get gifts. Eliminate the most prominent malcontents. Is that meaning the people who have strayed the farthest? Or the the most prominent member of the families? Like, if a noble house has issues with speaking against us, do we automatically go after their head because they're the most prominent member? Even if they aren't the one who is necessarily the most vocally or focused against us. Like, that prominent is not a clear statement of who we're targeting. Because if it's take out the people who are most against us in these noble families, but leave the rest of them alone. Like, focus on the problems, leave everyone else alone, I can totally get behind that. But if it's these 5 families are the ones most against you, okay, take out the head member of each house, then that's not good. But I'm not going to say I don't care. We could do public purges. But again, the all who have sullied the rogue trader's name, I'm not as good with, and certainly not giving gifts to those who speak against me. This one feels the most good, like somewhat lenient. So eliminate the most prominent malcontents quietly, but do not threaten entire families. Once your lordship's wrath descends upon the guilty, have no doubt there won't be a soul on Dargonus willing to share their fate. And one last thing, your lordship, your inauguration as bearer of the Sacred Warrant is but a matter of time, and I would like to inquire about one crucial detail. I imagine you are intending to uphold the centuries-old tradition, bolstered by an equally long-lasting friendship of being represented on Dargonus by one of the noble houses. I presume that, as before, this duty will be accorded to House Drivestem. One moment, which houses can represent me at the ceremony? There's no need to alter any traditions. The dynasty will be represented by House Drivestem. House Gaprak will represent the new rogue trader. House Sourback. Your presumption is wrong. I will bestow this honor on the Wissarians. I don't care, just don't fight too hard over the bone. One moment, which houses can represent me at the ceremony? Any of the noble houses located on Dargonus, the Drivestem family, which I lead, the Gaprak family, with long ties to the Adeptus Mechanicus, the Sourbacks, known for their piety and diligence in service. Perhaps I should also mention the Wissarians, who have some influence, but who are not actually of noble origin. Any one of these houses would be honored to represent you at the ceremony. So, I'm definitely not thinking the Drivestems. This guy seems scummy. And I don't want to make him feel more prominent, or that I think of him as more prominent. So definitely not thinking him. I don't know enough about the Gaprax or the Kiava Gamma. We haven't gone there. So honoring them feels premature. So I'm definitely thinking either the Sourbracks or the Wissarians. We could go with the Sourbracks because no one would be overly upset because they are an established noble family. And the fact that they are regularly mentioned as being known for their piety and diligence is good, because we also want to be known for our piety and diligence. So choosing someone who is known for those same qualities that we are striving to represent feels good. But also, the Wissarians seem like great people. The only negatives we keep hearing about them is just that they aren't noble, and that they are too jumped up for their non-noble standing. I mean, part of me wishes that I could just ennoble the Wissarians and then use them, because then no one has room to complain, because they are nobles. Because if I choose the Wissarians, the other 3 noble families are all going to get pissy. But being represented by Abelard also seems somewhat fitting. I'm super tempted by the Wissarian option, but I think I am going to go with House Sourback. It feels like a fine middle ground between honoring tradition, but not giving it to Drivestem. And Sourback seems to be in line with our values. So House Sourback will carry out this duty. Drivestem's face breaks into a bitter smile. I shall immediately relay your command, most gracious rogue trader. Thank you for your time. I would like to complete my inauguration as rogue trader as soon as possible. When is the ceremony? Or tell me about yourself and House Drivestem. I mean, perhaps I should have learned about him and House Drivestem from himself before we immediately were just like, no, we're breaking tradition and you are not going to represent me. Tell me about yourself. It would be my pleasure to enlighten you. My house is the oldest and most respected on Dargonus. My ancestors walk side by side with yours for many generations, as they cared for this world's welfare. Our duty is to supervise the governing bodies within the systems subservient to you, and we are responsible for the Protectorate's logistics and economic stability. As for me personally, I am a humble servant of the Emperor, and a loyal subject of the Rogue Trader, and to my great pleasure, I had the honor of calling myself Lady Theodora's close friend. At Urban's last words, Abelard lets out a sound that could be interpreted as either a snort or a cough. Urban gives him a look, which Abelard meets with an expression of utter nonchalance. That will be all, I take it? Thank you for your time, your lordship. Since duty calls, I shall take my leave. May the Emperor's grace be with you. I suppose I should have asked when the inauguration's going to be. I was just worried it would just immediately cut to the inauguration, but now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh no, I definitely should have clicked that. Because now we don't know when our inauguration is, which is a mistake. Restore operations of the administrative apparatus on Dargonus. Alright, so that's... figure out Coonrad. That's the DLC. We've restored operations, so that's finished now. Right, this is the gene stealers that we're using a station that we need to burn to the ground. This is us checking out Vibo 6. So that's a new quest we just picked up. And this is Jai's quest. So got to restore the other worlds. Yes, so Kiava Gamma we need to deal with, and apparently Vibos. I'm not as confident in how important Vibos is, since it seems to be just this guy who is mentioning that Vibos is important. But according to Achilles Scalander, the Xenos raids may have struck the penal world of Vibo 6. This report requires further investigation. So, okay. Achilles is also agreeing that Vibo 6 is important. So do we want to do that before we have our inauguration ceremony? That looks almost like a door, but it's obviously not. There are goods. Well, let's see if I can find someone to tell me when my inauguration is, because I should have figured that out already, and I did not. Your lordship, Clementia looks away from her data slate. I hope your stay on Dargonus will be beneficial to your physical and mental state. I understand that the heir to the Protectorate must have his hands full, but one shouldn't forget about the rest. I might do service at any time, day or night, your lordship. Okay. Looks like there is not anything specific about when I do the official ceremony. So we've got 3 companion quests. Kappa Gamma. We need to go to the Administratum and then go to these 3 other worlds. To command it with success, the rogue trader must master every aspect of his newly acquired power, complete a development project of the highest difficulty in any colony. Right. Find the hidden cache. Critical tasks. Perhaps the data on the rogue trader's personal cogitator could explain the strange entry in the Lord Captain's log. Okay. Something to do on the bridge, apparently. I think we are done here. So let's go back to the bridge. See if anything interesting happens on the bridge.